Hi and welcome back to ITIC's Office Environment Essentials course. In this particular module, which is module 1.5, we're going to look at text formatting, and in that we're going to look at font type and font size, bold, italic and underlining, subscript and superscript, case changing, highlighting, font colour, format painting, removing formatting, and special characters and symbols. So, to get straight into it, in our ribbon here, under the Home tab, is basically where we're looking at doing most of our formatting, or if not all of our formatting. I'm sure that most of you are familiar with most of the functions here, but we'll start off with the actual font. So we'll look at font type and font size. Font type by default in a Word document, is Calibri. If we want to change it, let's highlight some text, and here we have a drop down with all the fonts that are actually installed. Just an aside, all these are actually resident in the fonts folder in the Windows operating system. So if you want to install something, a new font, which would be generally a true type font, then you would go to your fonts directory. See, these are true type fonts here, which are TT. You just go to your fonts folder in your Windows directory and install it in there. A lot of them have got self-installers these days, but that's outside the auspices of this. So this gives us all these different fonts. And as you can see, as I mouse over them, that line that I've selected is actually giving me a preview in that particular font. So Bell NT, brush script, you can see that line that I've highlighted is now looking brush script font. I'll click on that. So that's now brush script. So let's undo it, Control Z, and have a look at, say, something Black Oak Standard, which as you can see is a rather large font. If I highlight this whole paragraph by triple clicking, and we'll say Broadway, bold. Okay, so very, very easy to change fonts. In the particular theme that we're using, the Microsoft default theme, it comes with Calibri and Calibri Light. Calibri Light is used for headings, and which are these obviously, and Calibri is used for the body. So very, very easy to change fonts. Control Z to undo, undo, takes us back to our Calibri, which is the default font. Now if I want to change the actual font size, there's two ways of doing it. We can use this drop down here and change it to different point sizes. As you can see, it gives us a preview. So let's change it to, say, 16. And you may do this as a quotation, just to highlight the font. And you may actually want to change the colour, which I'm sure you all know how to do. So change it to a grey. As simple as that. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. And then we're back down to our standard default 11 point. So with this particular default theme of Windows, we'll go into themes later, but the default font is Calibri and the default font size is 11. The heading sizes in our styles section actually give you a different colour and a different font size, and that's actually a different font in this particular situation. As you can see, it's Calibri Light for headings, but we'll go into how to change those in future tutorials. So that basically gives you an outline of font type and font size. Very, very easy. We can also highlight here, and if you right click, this is something that I tend to do quite a lot, it brings up this little font dialog box here, so you can apply a style to it. Again, you can format paint, which we'll go into in a little while. You can also increase and decrease by using these up and down arrows here. Very easy. Or right click, and that brings up this text dialog, or text pop-up as it's called, just here. So that's that first section. Let's have a look at bold, italic and underlining. Very, very simple. Again, two ways to do it. You can highlight and you can right click and just click on the B for bold, I for italic and U for underline. You'll notice that up here in the ribbon it's actually highlighted these sections because we've applied that. So Control Z, you can see now there's only two. Control Z, it's only bold. Control Z. Very, very easy. So right click mouse and apply it here, or just up here in the ribbon. Very, very simple. In section 1.1 we looked at these ribbon groups and ribbon tabs. It's always nice to get the terminology right. I just generally tend to use them, but the proper Microsoft name for this is the dialog box launcher, which when we're dealing with formatting gives you all these options as well. It gives you a preview, your font in your body, your font in your headings. There's also some advanced functionality here which is worth having a look at. Scale, spacing, so you can actually, oops, let me just select something here, can change the spacing, bring up this dialog box. So let's say condense the spacing, and you'll see it's now condensed the spacing. Control Z to undo. Clearing all formatting will basically clear all the formatting from our selection. Thus that's actually an eraser that we're seeing there. It's at the end of a pencil with an eraser on the end of it. It's quite a handy little button. So that's bold, italic and underline. Just to recap, you can highlight something and you can do them here within the group in the ribbon, or you can right click and you can do them here in the actual font pop-up that pops up, or you can open up the dialog box and bring up some more interesting and more advanced functionality, which, if you're interested, I would suggest that you consult the contextual help up here that we've looked at earlier. Subscript and superscript, very, very handy. Let's say we want to become little Einsteins and we want to have E equals mc squared, excuse me, E equals mc squared. So let's make this larger so we can see it, say 48. Now how do we get this 2 to be above the mc squared? We do that here, and that's called superscript. So it basically creates small letters above the line. So if we click on that, there we go. We have E equals mc squared in its proper format. If I wanted to create a formula, H2SO4, whoops, which is something that you don't want to come in contact with on a daily basis, which is actually sulfuric acid if you're wondering. H2SO4. So now it looks like a chemical equation. So below the line is subscript. You can also use Control plus equals as a shortcut, but I find that a little bit cumbersome. And superscript, Control Shift plus plus. Again, I find that rather cumbersome. It's just as easy to highlight the text and do this. Now we can also through our drop down, there's some more advanced functions here. You can see under effects here, strike through. You can see superscript, these radio boxes, these are called radio boxes, are actually highlighted, meaning that we've applied superscript and subscript. It's just basically saying that that's already been applied. And so I've applied it to the whole lot. Okay, so I'll highlight it. Bullets, which we'll come to a little in the due course. So that's basically looking at subscript and superscript. Quite handy. Let's say we're in a situation where we want to change some case. Microsoft Word has got some fantastic tools for that. For example, if I select this line here and I want to make it all capital letters, but I don't want to retype it, we can go up here. This is our case changing tool, and select uppercase, and there you go. It's all in uppercase. Control Z to undo it. Let's say we want to just capitalize each word. So you can see now each word has got a capital letter. Much easier than actually retyping it. Let's select this whole paragraph, triple click. So I'll make it all uppercase. Control Z to undo. It's already lowercase. Sentence case. What sentence case will do is it'll basically just capitalize the first letter of each sentence. So if I, for example, if I change it all to lowercase and then I go to sentence case, you can now see that there is a capital letter at the beginning of each sentence, which for people like me, I'm chronic on Facebook for typing everything in lowercase because I'm too lazy and I type too fast to use the shift key, and I don't really care because it's just social networking and we're not really interested in great grammar. Now toggle case just basically gives you the exact opposite. So what we had before is we had in sentence case there was a capital at the beginning of each. Now there's lowercase at the beginning of each and everything else is in uppercase. So if I toggle case again, it will go back to normal. See, now it's capitalized the beginning of each sentence and everything else is in lowercase. Very handy tool. Which brings us now, I think that you can actually access this from right clicking as well. Perhaps not. No, you can't. Oh well, not to worry. Highlighting. Everyone, I'm sure, has used a highlighting pen when you're going through a document. Word actually gives you the ability to do that as well. Not many people use this functionality. So there you go. There's a sentence that's been highlighted. If we want to change the colour, just use this little down arrow here. Let's say no colour. Just gives you a shade of grey. Oops. But I think most of us are probably familiar with using a fluorescent yellow highlighter. Control Z. This can be accessed from right clicking, as you can see just here. There we go. Very handy. So that's basically called highlighting, just like we're using a highlight texter or marker. Control Z just to get rid of all this formatting. Control Y takes us back to our sample document. So that now brings us up to font color. Font color is very, very easy. Let's say I want to change this sentence, the color of this. This is font color just here. And you use the down arrow to choose from different colors, and it will actually give you a preview, as you can see, of all these colors. So let's say we'll just pick red. You can even apply a gradient to it, which is kind of interesting if you're using bigger text. Let's say if I change it to quite large text so we can see it, and then apply a gradient, you can see the different gradients here. So that whole text, it's going to apply from the middle of that whole selected text, dark to light, light to dark, and you actually have more gradients here that you can choose from. It brings up this whole format text effects dialog box. So again, if you want to know more about this, more colours, this gives you colour palettes to choose from, and you can create your own colour palettes using RGB or HSL. A little bit outside the auspices of this, but it works on hexadecimal colours or colours of the web. Okay, now we're going to have a look at some format painting. I just quickly paused the record and applied some formatting to this section of text. The format painter is really happy because it allows us to, as I spoke about in the last section, in the clipboard section, to copy some formatting into the Windows clipboard and apply that to other text. So if I click Format Painter here and then select this text, you'll see that it's taken just the capitalisation there. I haven't had terribly great results with the Format Painter. There we go, you can see it's now. But what it's supposed to do is this entire section here, if we format paint it and then apply it, rather than just copying everything to be bold, it should actually make bold and then italic. So the rule of thumb here is basically, if you're going to format paint, just highlight one piece of formatting at a time, put it into the format painter and apply it, and you can see it's made that italic. Now if we want to remove all our formatting, that's very easy. We can just highlight everything and remove formatting here, this tool just here. All that does is just send everything back to default, which is, in this particular instance, no formatting. So now we're going to look at actually inserting some special characters or symbols. So to do that, we actually need to go to Insert here in our tabs, and right over here in the far right we have symbols. So we can say insert an equation. They give you a bunch of equations there, binomial theorems, expansion of a sum, more equations here from Office. So let's, just for fun, insert an equation because we're feeling a little bit mathematical. We'll do that in a new line here. So insert equation, there's the area of a circle. Changing the inline just basically changes the formatting of it. So again, insert, if we want to insert a copyright, we can insert a smiley face. I think that we're on Facebook or messaging. More symbols gives you quite a large symbol library here to choose from. As you can see, there's quite a few, so definitely worth playing around with. These are basically just taken from Wingding's font, which is a special font that's just used for symbols, and it gives you recently used. You don't need to worry about character codes, etc. Special characters you actually have shortcut keys for, so you don't have to go to insert and then symbol. Copyright's just Alt-Control-C, so if I go down here, Alt-Control-C, there you go, copyright. So if you want to memorize some of these, just go to more symbols and it will give you shortcut keys. You can actually assign shortcut keys as well, just by clicking on this shortcut key here. Quite handy. So just to recap, we'll just get rid of this, Control-Z, undo, 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 undo. We're in Home. We've looked at, in this particular section, all our text formatting through this particular group here on our ribbon, and some of our dialogue just here, and also looking at right-clicking once we've highlighted something. So you've got three ways of doing things. And then finally, to insert special characters or even equations if we want. Let's put a really big equation there. There we go. You can actually change symbols by using these boxes up here, but that's getting pretty complex. And you got a lot of equation options here, which is worth having a look at, but I doubt whether any of you would be using them in your day-to-day work. And you'll notice up here in the ribbon, when we go into edit mode, you get this little highlighting up here, and this is basically true to anywhere in Word. So because this is actually, I've removed that highlight now. Now if I highlight again, this comes back. But we're still on the ribbon. If I click on Design, it will actually take us back to highlighting this, and this allows us just to move. This handle allows us to move around, and it actually takes the same formatting of the piece of text that's immediately above it or preceding it. Anyway, so that basically brings us to the end of this section. I hope that you've found this valuable. There's a lot of stuff there that you will use on a day-to-day basis, and I would really, again, I would urge you to read the documentation that we've supplied you as part of this course, which is the Foundation Training Manual, and also really make this Microsoft Word Contextual Help your friend. It's absolutely fabulous, and it gives you really great examples, most of which are exactly the same as what you'll find in the Foundation Training Manual. So anyway, I'm going to sign off, and I will see you in the next module of this course, or next submodule of this course, which is paragraph formatting. I'll see you then.